It's like when you go to school and the kids pick on you, and you come home and your mom gives you a hug and tells you it's going to be okay. Like, this controller is the best thing.
I mentioned the best thing. My number one is clearly the best.
Nick. Your number one would be nowhere without this dream.
Welcome to the Spindash Retro Gaming Podcast. Prepare yourself for the joy of classic gaming, fired straight into your delicate little ear holes. Fire away.
Welcome back to the Spindash Retro Gaming Podcast. I am this week's... No, I'm not. Let's start that again. What, am I a host? We're not really having a host,
We're all
right?
hosting this one.
This is a
Welcome
hostless.
to Spindash. We're the hostless bunch of murderers and rioters.
You always go over the line. I love it.
I love how the rule is like, we're going to keep current events and politics out, and Nick just like dives over that line. Just you're the one that brought up the freaking dolphin, like the Japanese eating dolphin or something like that in our first episode.
Oh God! You should use these sound. Do you keep these sound bites too, just for your own amusement?
I keep everything, and
God.
I bitched to you guys
I could
about
never go for office ever, even local.
No, you can't run for anything because of this show. I mean, literally, I just have to go play Cave Story, and then you're done. You're just
try to go for lead for PTA from my local school.
I'm just going to change my name.
What are you going to change your name to?
I can't tell you that.
Your whole life? I like how like your John is like your alt name, and then you've gone and you've changed your name, like your actual legal name
Shannon.
from
Shannon.
That would be funny,
right? It's from
welcome back
Park
to another
Boys.
episode of Spin Dash. Let's jump into this. We have no game of the week, but we do have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So I think the purpose of this episode is, and I don't know if this is going to be a bonus episode or it may be, a full on episode.
Could we call this like a what could it be like a what is it, like a cheat extra menu? You know how in some games you could like do a cheat to get the side menu, like in Mortal Kombat or like even Sonic the Hedgehog, like you play a couple sounds to get the bonus levels, or do like the debug menu. That's what it is. This is a debug
menu. Yeah. My thinking was like, if this episode's actually good, then I'm like, it's a real episode. We meant to put this out. And if it's like, okay, it's a bonus episode. That's a gift to everyone. And if it really sucks and like you really get awful, like offensive and stuff, it'll just never see the light of day until you run for politics.
Then
run for office.
Okay, make it to PTA.
So Nick,
yeah,
it sounds to me like you have pickups.
I do. Well, I have 1.5 pickups. One's a digital pickup. Yeah, I know you do. I figured you do. I listened to another podcast that also does retro gaming. It's one actually you got me onto. And they had a pretty much where they were streaming video games that they're playing, and they had contests, and I won one of the contests, in which I won a gift card for the Switch for $20, and I ended up playing that towards Naruto Shippuden Storm, Ninja Storm. Actually, I think it was like Naruto Storm Trilogy, which is, they're okay games. I liked them when I initially played them, and I was looking just to pretty much regain some of that, because a couple of them are actually PS2 games that we might actually play in the future.
So here's the thing. You should have just taken that thing you won from that other podcast and then given it to us to use as a giveaway. That wouldn't be sketchy at all, now would it?
That would be super sketchy. But I also picked up a not a holy grail, but a game I've been looking for some time.
All right.
For pretty cheap. It's for the PS2. I got Dave Mirra BMX. Actually, let me grab the case because I'm right next to it. Yeah, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2 for PS2.
Nice.
It's like $6, and it's case and box, and I put it in. It's already worth $12. So even then, I didn't lose any money on it. So
I like that you're tackling all these like PS2, GameCube era stuff because we're kind of got some holes there. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to try going for that type of game. It's like Tony Hawk style. I just really enjoyed it. I played it the other day actually, and it holds up, like really holds up. Like I was surprised. It's gonna be like. I forgot how well the polygons are done on that. Like it's not blocky at all. It's actually fairly smooth. Probably one of the best soundtracks next to the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and 1 and 2 soundtracks. So, yeah.
I don't see why we can't. So far, nothing's been off limits on this show.
True.
Nothing.
True. Just need to get a racing game in here, too.
Hey, that's all that's coming up. Just what John's got coming.
Ooh.
Oh, that's right.
Before we talk to John, Nick, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a ginger ale and vodka.
All right.
With lime.
More respectable than the past couple ones.
Yeah, this is just a great. It's Great Goose vodka with Schweppes ginger ale.
I love how you went high class.
Mm-hmm.
Grey Goose, baby.
John, still the bottle that you gave me.
What?
Yeah, this is the original bottle.
When did I give you a bottle of Grey Goose?
When I said you couldn't do a certain thing for a certain amount of time.
That was 11 years ago.
Yep.
What was the thing? What was the thing?
My God.
What was the thing?
3 women at the same time.
Oh, God.
Did not work out.
And now you're married and have a kid.
Yep. 11 years. Lots of crazy stuff. Nick still has the same bottle of vodka.
Yep.
No, dude. Wait. I gave you one for your birthday one year. Don't even.
Maybe it is. I don't know. It's all mixed together.
That makes more sense because 11 years, you moved like 5 times.
I wouldn't be shocked, though, because we keep our booze in one thing, and I didn't really drink much. Except for when I was in my in-laws. But that's because we're all in 900 square foot room.
Yeah.
So, and during summer, too. Ooh.
So, hold on. So, I don't know if, John, I don't know if you're going to like text me after this and like, you got to edit that out, but I might as well ask the questions right now. So was it a bet that you could do it and you couldn't, and therefore you had to give Nick vodka? Was that the deal?
Correct. Yep.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Back in my single days, I was a little bit carefree and didn't really know how to manage relationships. So that one did not pan out.
I like that it wasn't, can you juggle 2? It was, can you juggle 3 women?
Yeah. I was pretty ambitious. Did not succeed very much at that point in my life,
I did not need reality TV during my years rooming with John. My year rooming with John.
You saw some shit. It was like watching Big Brother.
Get a bottle of booze to throw John in.
You adopted that strategy from Matt, who I lived with for 3 years. So,
and I didn't really. And before then, I think we tried to get you, Matt, to be a roommate, and you said, "No, I was too
poor. I was too poor. Like, I don't think you guys understood how poor I was when I got out of college.
For like most of the months, and I ended up paying him back like a month later.
I owed John like $300 when I got out of college or something crazy. And I owed him for like 6 months. I paid you interest because I felt so friggin' bad. I was so dirt poor when I graduated.
Oh, that was funny. I didn't care, man. I didn't have too much, Right, that scholarship money.
Yeah. John pulls up in a brand new. I remember going to bed there. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go get a brand new mattress and bedding."
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm pulling up in my brand new Subaru too.
Yeah, I was foolish, man. I don't know why I bought a brand new car. Oh,
he just got a brand new job. I'm here. I'm straight up hustling cell phones.
My God, I could not. I was so. That was like the worst. Like, don't ever graduate during a recession. Just stay in school. Just keep racking up debt because at least it's a happier existence. My God, that sucked ass.
Yeah.
Didn't you also buy a motorcycle that year too, John?
I did.
Motorcycle. I remember you did your motorcycle license because it's right down the road from our apartment.
Yeah, that was easy. I enjoyed that. I had free fun money because our apartment was so cheap, man. Like we could afford to have some fun.
Those were the days.
The days before debt. Well, we had to start paying debt.
Before kids, before lockdown. I mean, it's like it's a 1-2 punch right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, do you have any pickups?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned it last time. I got the Switch. No, not the Switch. The Wii controller, the classic controller. I got one of those. Yeah. Found it used. Tomorrow, I am going to get a copy of Link's Awakening DX for $3.
Hey!
What? Where?
Facebook Marketplace.
Dude.
Yep.
Nice.
Messenger. She posted it, and like 4 minutes later, I got it. So we're good.
Dude, that's a steal.
You're just murdering Facebook.
Trying to. They don't come up too often, and this one could be dicey where I get it and it doesn't work. So fingers crossed.
Worst case scenario, it's probably just a dead battery.
Yeah, it could be. We'll see.
Yeah.
I got my toolkit ready to go. Tool and cleaning supplies,
Nice.
Did you guys watch that video I sent you a while back where like someone was changing out Game Boy batteries? It was an April Fool's video. And the guy just lathers it with peanut butter. And he's like, in order to get the Game Boy, he's just filling the Game Boy thing with peanut butter. Oh my God, I pissed myself laughing. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I actually started following a guy on YouTube that started his how to get a collection starting with only $10. So he started with $10 and he started just buying, reselling, and then like he would sell the additional copies, or if it was a game that he might have bought that he didn't really like but he knew had some value, he would resell it, and he's been building his collection from that.
I'm disappointed that he didn't start with a paperclip.
Right? I was going to say, it's like that trading up from a paperclip thing.
I would like to try that. I don't think you can start with a paperclip, though.
I think you should for the show. I think for the show, you should try to start like...
Johnny could probably do better than me. He's better at haggling and trading.
He's dickering.
Yeah, you just got to know the right old people in Maine. Because they hoarded all their shit, so they got a lot to barter.
Scamming old people out of their grandkids' games.
Yep.
John, what are you drinking tonight?
Tea. I'm doing Sober January, my fellas.
Oh!
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, your liver probably could use it.
Yeah, man, we were getting dangerous there. That Naked Wines was great, but bad at the same time, Case of wine shows up to your door, boom. Pretty easy.
Waiting for you to have boxed wine withdrawals. You just gonna start shaking like, oh, I need wine.
I gotta say, I feel a lot clearer. I mean, besides this lagging cold that won't go away, I'm still a little hoarse from that. But
little COVID?
Little COVID, just a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I feel pretty good. It's been, what is it, like a week and a day now, I think?
Not bad. Good.
COVID.
Yeah. I think I can do it. I'm not missing it too much. But my kid, we brought him home from daycare, and he was having a meltdown in the kitchen, and I looked at my wife and her body language. I was like, you need a glass of wine right now, right? And she was like, how did you know? And you can just tell,
That's my everyday.
Yeah.
That's me right now.
Well, I think that's half the reason why we do the show, though, because It's like it's an excuse to drink. Like I told the guys I have to bring something, so that's what I'm doing.
I'm upholding on this one. It's me. I'll go hard on whatever other ones we've done or will do. So I'm taking a reprieve this time.
Our February recordings, you're just going to be like hammered, tripping over yourself, just slurring the words. Yeah, I've got some bourbon tonight. I dug through the fridge, and I was like, I'll have to mix something up because I have no beer. And there's like a Truly in the back. It's probably skunk at this point. We have no soda. We have nothing to mix other than orange juice. I'm like, no, I'm not staying up all night with friggin' heartburn. Not doing that.
Yeah. What's your brand of bourbon that you got?
It is Woodford's Reserve.
Good stuff.
Same stuff I had a couple episodes ago. I didn't buy it. Parker left it here. We had a party a couple years ago, and he left it here. So I like to think that he's our sponsor for the show.
He did that a lot in college too.
I didn't pay for a whole lot of booze.
I had an idea. Do you think we can have Parker sponsor our show?
No, I actually am working on not next episode, but the episode after that, a big sponsorship announcement for you guys. I think you'll be very proud of me. John probably disappointed. Nick won't be. Nick will think it's good, but John might be a little disappointed. So stay tuned on that.
I'm intrigued. I like it.
Curious. So, being the debug menu episode this is, one of the questions I had, and this is probably going to throw John, is a time where you had, like, what's your fondest memory of receiving a video game or video game console?
Who's going first?
Jump in. I already know mine on top of my head. I can go if you want me to go.
I'd have to say Super Nintendo, because I didn't expect it. My dad set it up and played a trick on me because they had told me, like, if you get good grade, I think I was in second grade, and they're like, if you get check pluses or whatever all year, you can have a Super Nintendo. And I was like, okay. So I don't think I saw my report card. They gave it to them. So I was still in the dark on it, and I came home and he's like, well, we couldn't get the Super Nintendo, but we get the new Nintendo channel on the TV, and he changed it, and it was Super Mario World. And he's like, just kidding. And he pulled the blanket back, and on the couch was a Super Nintendo. So that was pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah. So I really liked that.
Nice. Mine was the opposite, John. But actually, I think it was almost the same. I was in second grade. I was in first grade, and it was Christmas, and I got a Sega Genesis with a Sonic Hedgehog 1 package.
Nice.
So it was the first gen Sega with Sonic Hedgehog 1. So that was mine, and I think I was like ecstatic, and I held that onto that machine, I think all the way to almost high school.
Wow.
I wish I still had it. I had some great games on that. That was my fondest one. One that really pulls, hence why I'm a Sega fan.
Yeah.
Matthew.
That makes sense. Well, so here's the thing. I would have to say here's the thing. I would imagine my happiest gift getting would be the Super Nintendo. But it wasn't the most memorable. I can't remember it. But the one time that I can remember, like, it's vivid. And John, your dad, I feel, was less of a fucker than mine.
Yep.
Because my dad, I remember I wanted Link to the Past for one of the Christmases. And he opened up the box and took the game out and then put the box in and wrapped it up. So, like, Christmas morning, I'm so excited. Like, Link to the Past, open it up. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And then I go upstairs to go play it, and I pull it open. There's no game in it. And I just was so pissed. I was just like, what? Dad, he carried on for a while. He's like, oh, no. They forgot to put it in. Oh, no. He let me go for a while before he pulled it out.
Ooh.
Christmas is one of those moments where my dad just likes to fuck with us. And that was definitely one of them. I don't know why. I was so happy that I got it. But, man, he fucked me for a while on that one.
I have a funny story kind of this. It's not with me, but one of my good friends growing up. You think that's bad. So, as when the PS2 was coming out, my friend's parents got a PS2 box and everything. And they ended up putting and they wrapped it up, everything. I put it on the tree. He unwrapped it. He's like, awesome. Yeah, I got a PS2. Thank you, guys. Wraps it, opens up, goes full kill. Keeps on going. And it was an original Game Boy. They stuck original Game Boy into the PS2, and you never actually got a PS2. They literally went and got a PS2 box from Walmart, and he never got a PS2.
Yes. Oh man, those are parents of the year. That is awesome.
Andrew, this one's for you, buddy. I'm sorry.
Ouch, man.
Oh man. That's funny.
Yeah, but let's get down to we do actually have a theme or a purpose, don't we, Matt?
So here's what I was thinking. Our standard format on our shows has always been pick a game, play through the game, talk about all the mechanics, the story, the development, and then move on to the next game. And that's I like that format, but I feel like we're missing out on some of the stuff in between. There's probably things that we can't touch on. So, like hardware, for example. And I know we've been spitballing about this for a while as far as, I like this controller, I don't like that controller. So here's what I was thinking. I'd like to do our top 5 controllers.
Ooh.
You can pick they have to be a retro gaming, so we can't go into the modern. But list out our top 5. Okay. And the way I envisioned this working, again, we're not trying to pick a top 5 amongst ourselves, because every time we try to work together, it just devolves into us fighting and then me and John teaming up on you, Nick, because you like Sega. So the way I would see this working is, like, Nick, you could go first, right? And name your controller, right? If John and I have it further up on our list, hold that thought. And I have a piece of paper, and I'll jot down what you guys have. And we'll just keep working up the list. And when we get to the highest point, let's say John has the Dreamcast controller as his number 1 pick. That's the highest point. And Nick's got it as lowest. We'll all talk about that controller there. We can give our reasons for why we picked it, what we like about it, any criteria you have. But the fun of this is I like lists, I like clickbait, and I like arguing with you guys and picking out why your decisions are stupid. So we have the floor to do that. So top 5 retro gaming controllers.
Ooh, that's going to be a hard one.
Yeah.
So starting at the bottom.
Just a heads up, I haven't done any research on this at all. So I'm going to go strictly right now what I'm thinking by memory. So we're going to start with top 5 and go down to 1?
Yep. Start at the bottom, work up. Nick, what is your number 5?
So many. I say my number 5 would probably be the Nintendo, the original Nintendo.
John, you got that one on yours?
Nope.
All right, Nick, the floor is yours.
So the reason I have this for my number 5 is really the first game console controller that I actually held and used. But the reason why it's so quote unquote low on the list as well for top 5 is it was so small and it was not ergonomic at all. So my hand would cramp up all the time with this thing. And you guys know me, I have actually massive hands. So I've always had fairly big hands as well. Hands. So
yeah.
Like I could probably right now put a Nintendo and play the Nintendo NES controller and play it one-handed easily. And I could pretty much I could have done that when I was a kid as well, because I was a fairly tall and lanky kid as there. So, it's so low just because pure ergonomic, but it's on the list because of such a nostalgia factor it has.
So So one of the things I did when we started this, I laid out all my controllers near my mic, so I can actually talk about it as I've got it in my hand.
Man, and fancy.
I am fancy. I hear you on what you're saying, Nick, because it's boxy. It's not rounded at all.
Mm-mm.
So like if you're sitting there for like a long thing, like that thing is driving right into your palms, and the D-pad on it is very sharp. It's not as rounded as some of the other controllers that we'll talk about later. But the D-pad on this thing is definitely I don't know. I like it. It's one of my favorite D-pads just because it's responsive. I don't know. Good pick. I think it's such an iconic thing. John, what are your thoughts on the NES controller?
I liked it, but it was sharp. You know, it wasn't like having your thumb on both buttons was okay, but I think, and it has to do with like the concave versus the convex. Like if the button dipped down and you had too many of those next to each other, it wasn't a smooth transition. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah.
I get what
So
you're saying.
I think these, if I remember right, I haven't played the NES in quite a long time, but those buttons didn't have a good flow between them, and just holding it was sharp. But it was good. It was tolerable. You know, I didn't play much NES as a kid, but it was all right.
I think for its credit, right? They stole the D-pad off their, I think it's the Game & Watch series.
That sounds
And
right.
I want to say the NES controller is one of the first, if not the first, to have a D-pad on a console. So, I mean, we've got to give it some credit where it's due. I mean, super influential. It just, for me, it didn't crack my top 5, and John, doesn't sound like it cracked yours.
No.
Yeah, that was a straight up nostalgia pick for me. So, what do you guys have in your top 5?
So, John, I have you up as next.
I didn't. I think I have my like top 3 ranked, but I would say was it the 6-button Genesis controller?
Ooh, I've got that higher.
Yeah.
Same.
That one flowed. That one was pretty good. It had that curve to it and smoother edges.
Hold your thoughts on that one. Hold your thoughts on that one. I have that one further up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. So my number 5, and I'm ready for John to start doing some screeching. I have the N64 controller. So John, cue your notes. You have it higher.
Yeah.
Oh, bold move, Nick. All right. So I'm going to write that on. John, this episode is going to go downhill very, very fast.
Oh boy.
All right. So that's our 5th round picks. Let's go to our 4th round. Nick, you started. You want to jump into your number 4?
My number 4 is the N64 controller.
Ha ha!
Yeah. Okay.
Boom.
Yeah.
Floor's yours, Nick.
So no one has it at all. Wow, nice. Okay.
No, it was my number 5.
I mean, besides, I thought John might. I was hoping John would have higher just for
No,
sake
I got
of.
a weird one. You guys are gonna laugh at me.
Oh boy. I surprisingly really, again, I have massive hands, so I actually could use it fairly well. And I thought I liked having the sides there, and I could reach the middle thumbstick fairly easily still as well. So I actually hold it just like a regular controller, and I liked how I could hold it like having a wing style.
Oh, you get the noob grip.
What?
You get the noob grip.
Oh, I never hold from the center ever.
Oh,
My thumb was so I could stretch my thumb so well. I could actually use the thumbstick from the side. I never had to grab center.
Oh, that's a big.
My friend's brother could do that too.
So I was like, "Oh, this is quicker action. I could do this." So
I suppose I'll give you a pass. That seems like the grip that like a lot of the grandmas do. Like you hand them like, "Oh, I used to play the NES back in the day, play Tetris," and they'd like try to get their thumbs across and they wouldn't make it. And I don't know what to do. I'll give you a pass on that one.
Yeah, my thumb span. Yeah, that work.
Go with it.
Yeah, thumb span. I just could reach it, so I was like, "Oh, there we go." I mean, I probably did use it a little bit if I think I had to with Ocarina of Time sometimes, just because it was a little bit easier moving around in some parts. But other than that, I could hold pretty well. So, Yep. So that was my number 4. It was also one of my favorite consoles because nostalgia reasons. I got the Jungle Green Donkey Kong pack for Christmas. So it was one of my it was my second favorite console up to, next to N64. I mean, it's next to Sega Genesis I got. So just loved it. Loved it.
So, John, before I let you voice your concerns, so here's why I picked this as my number 5. It frequently goes on a bunch of worst controller design of all time lists, and I understand the complaints, but I think they're wrong. So, number 1, and you'll notice this as we go up my list, I have a real problem with how a lot of controllers handle how your thumb slopes, or how the button layout slopes. Okay. And you'll hear that when I bitch about Sega. But on the N64 controller, they kind of returned to, I guess it would be a negative slope, if that's how your thumb is going, where your thumb angles, like you can hold down the B and then press the A. And it's just like how you would do it on a lot of, like on the Super Nintendo, on the PlayStation. Like it restores that negative slope thumb position, for lack of a better term. So already that's getting high points in mine just for that alone. In addition, I think this is the first controller to have a workable analog stick. And when I say workable, it's not the first. The Atari 5200 had an analog stick. It just sucked ass. This is the first time that it's actually workable. The D-pad, a little squishier than I like, but still a decent D-pad. Like you can get some use out of it for the few fighting games that there was. And lastly, rumble. The N64, I believe, was the first controller, or at least the first console to have built-in, have the option for rumble. It didn't have it built in. So, innovative with the stick, innovative with the rumble. I like the button layout. I have no problem with N64. People just need to learn to hold it correctly or get bigger thumbs like Nick.
There you go.
John?
My number 4?
Well, I figured you'd complain, so I was giving you the chance to voice your concerns.
You guys kind of hit the nail on the head. It's just the hand position's weird. Thankfully, most of the games you didn't really need the D-pad from what I remember.
Yeah.
The rumble was cool. The transfer pack with the Game Boy games, with Pokemon.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those were pretty sweet. You might have convinced me to put this one on the list just now that I thought of that stuff. I didn't like that the analog stick wore out. It got loose, when you were getting too crazy.
That is something, that's
a big negative. You get that white dust that builds up after you've been just like grinding it around. Yeah.
Could it be manufactured better? In the sense of, like, if they had the same like design but better part system for it, would you then like it better? So the analog stick was fixed. Maybe they concave, or maybe they changed up the buttons a little bit.
Didn't they do, like somebody did a repro that changed it to just a 2-grip controller?
Yeah, Retro Fighters just put out a controller like that. They had other third-party ones, but I know that's kind of like a big one that people are... It gives it a more modern feel.
Right, and I kind of figured we were sticking to traditional controllers, not the third-party weird ones, because I remember there was like a Boomerang 64 controller too.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing's weird.
Yeah, it was. But and that's the thing too. Like, did they made it cheaper so it would break and you'd have to buy it again? There's another rub kind of thing. Like,
I think it was just such a new design because it doesn't work like that Atari 5200 at all. There's no similarity in how they work. Like
the 5200 was robust.
It had like 2 potentiometers. Like, it's a real cool design. It just, they were 80% of the way there and just didn't finish the job, and that's why it sucks. Like the 64, I like that the stick is like, if you notice, like you're playing with an N64 controller, like that stick's higher. It's got like a higher pivot than you do with a normal thumbsticks. I don't really know how to describe it.
Yeah.
And some people have a problem with having it has like an octagonal gate around it. So like your movement is somewhat limited. It's not a full, you can't go like a full circle with a stick. It's set to really give you analog control, but it's primed to go in 8 directions. Some people hate the octagonal gate. I kind of like it, so I gave it a pass there.
Right on.
John,
my number 4.
Your number 4 pick.
This, I mean, it's kind of being a toss-up because just remembering all those things about the 64 controller. But I have a very random one thrown in just because of my forgotten love of the console and the nostalgia factor was the Magnavox Odyssey 2.
Okay.
Wow.
Right? That's
because it had the keyboard, the numpad, everything on the console itself, and the joystick, if you want to call it, or the paddle was only 2 directions with a button. So it required a lot of input on the keyboard, which I thought was cool. And I remember playing some games on that like you had to use the joystick and the keypad, and it was kind of rapid fire, so it kept you engaged.
I'm Googling this right now.
It's pretty funky.
I've never even held an Odyssey. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What the mother?
Was it 2 direction or was it Omni? No, it was 8. That's right.
This thing looks like it's got an octagonal gate as well. Did it?
Yep.
I assume it's centered. Was it a self-centering stick?
Yes.
Interesting. It's kind of like they went for the Atari setup.
They did. Because this was in the phase where, before I had any Nintendos, my dad would just pull Ataris out of the trash and try to clean them up. And we found this, and I like this one a lot more. God, I wish I could remember the games that we played on it, but they kept me pretty engaged from what I remember.
Wow, John.
Yeah.
That's that's a spicy take.
I can't comment on that.
I got nothing.
I never played it.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. If one of us ever gets it, we'll have to share
I'm going to hunt for one.
I'm going to be on the lookout for one. You can buy one Odyssey 2 for $100 on eBay right now.
There you have it. All right.
$5.
So, Nick, I think you had this, or John maybe, had this as your number 5. Does anyone have the Sega 6 button higher than me?
I do.
Ooh.
You do. Nice, Nick. All right, so I'll keep my mouth shut. Now, round 3, Nick.
Round 3. The 3DO.
your love of that system comes back again. The floor is yours, Nick.
I just had really good because it was such a random console to have in the house. So I loved it because none of my friends had it. And I gravitated to so well. So if you guys take a look, have you guys ever seen the 3DO controller?
I'm taking a look right now.
Take a look at the 3DO controller. You'll see why I like it.
It's kind of like they tried to mix a Sega 3 button with a Super Nintendo.
Exactly.
Huh.
Because it's got the shoulders, but it's got the 3-button layout.
3-button layout, shoulder buttons, and I just loved it. It was just it was large enough. It was ergonomic for my hands, so my hands are cramped up. I could play for hours on end, and it just works so well.
How was the D-pad on it?
D-pad wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't actually too bad because I played Gex pretty wide, and it's kind of hard to really. Because I'm going off based off memory. Like I didn't have any faults with it, but I think as kids with some of the controllers that we learn how to adapt to the faults of the controller to play the game better. So yeah, we find it annoying, but we adapt so well that it just becomes another thing. But yeah, I used to play that, and most of the games we had, I think the only ones we had that were really like controller really intense was Gex we had for it, and a Road Rash game we had for it.
Nice.
And I played the hell out of the Road Rash game. So it was solid. I liked it. I really do. And that's probably one of my systems I wouldn't mind finding out there in the wild.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to get that, but it's good. Like I said, it had a familiarity with both, like you said, the Sega as well as the SNES. So that is my number 3.
John, your number 3.
The GameCube.
Ooh, not even on mine.
Not at anywhere on mine.
Wow.
John, the floor is yours, and I have some spicy takes for you.
Yeah. Best fighting controller for Smash.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, for Smash.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what we played, man. That was it. You know? So
Dude, that controller sucked for everything else, though.
I hate this controller, so I was gonna let you finish lumping on the praise before I go meltdown on it.
So I've done like hybrids because I didn't play too much PlayStation 2, but I'd say the GameCube and is it the DualShock 2?
Yep.
This I kind of couldn't decide. So I'd say GameCube, but the DualShock is pretty close because I played it at friends' houses. I never had a PlayStation, but it was comfortable. But the only reason was the sticks were in. I didn't like the spots where they were. You know, the offset makes it a lot better for me.
Yeah. Yep.
But with the GameCube, it was that C stick was pretty handy to have for fighting, and I guess Double Dash. I mean, those are the only GameCube games that
It did work for a Double Dash, but like that's where it worked. Like the game, I played a lot outside of GameCube when it came out. I was the only one of my friends actually to get a GameCube. I think it came with Double Dash, which I played a lot of, and then I played a lot of the Spider-Man 2 movie one.
Oh yeah.
So, but for the Spider-Man 2 one, it was just pain. It was just absolute pain. It was just there. Oh, I can't. And I didn't play any Smash. I never actually played a Smash Brothers game on. I never played the Smash Bros. Game for there.
We have hundreds of hours on the GameCube one.
No, never played on the GameCube one. Only the N64 and then the Wii.
Wow.
So the GameCube controller is, in some camps, people love it and shower praise on it because it is extremely ergonomic. And I will give it that. It does fit in your hand nicely. Although, Nick, I find you may have a harder time with it just because I think I think with a bigger grip, you may not.
It's a little too compact.
Yep.
So, and it also kind of bends in a little bit instead of winging out like the N64 one does.
Yep.
So, cause of there, I just felt like just too compact for me.
This may be a way too spicy take, and I might have to walk it back because I can't think of anything. But other than maybe the Atari Jaguar, I can't think of a controller post Crash 83 that I hate more than the GameCube controller. So going through my list of complaints, the triggers on it. Why is there so much distance on the trigger pull? Why do I have to pull that trigger? Yeah. Like I have to move that thing a mile back just if I wanted to get to the click.
Yeah.
So I hate the triggers. The position of the Z button, you would think you can easily get your finger from the trigger up to Z. And I think that's hard to do. Like it's not as simple as what you could do in the DualShock. And it's only on one side of the controller. Like, why wouldn't you give me a button on the other side? Like, I find the D-pad is way too small. The C stick should have been a proper stick. Yep. Instead, it's just a nub. And then the button layout. It's
weird.
What is it good for other than Smash?
Yeah.
Because like
that's what I'm basing it on, though. For me,
it kind of follows that Sega 3 button. in that it's kind of I guess what it would be a positive slope, and that the thing kind of rounds out. But it's like you can't play Mega Man on this. It's no good. It's no good. So spicy take. I hate that controller. But John,
literally, you can see that it was literally made for Smash. Like nothing else. Like they must have we're gonna be having this game for fighters. This is what it needs to be for. Because like if you even look up articles or even like type in GameCube controller. Like, there's modded GameCube controllers for Smash.
Yeah.
And they're still making it. They're still making it. But here's the thing. If you talk to anyone and like, oh, you like the GameCube controller, what do you like it for other than Smash? Like, oh, no. I will defend the Wavebird, and that I really like the Wavebird, its wireless functionality.
I'm trying to find one of those.
That is a big deal. So I'll give it some bonus. But John, I disagree. Throw that goddamn thing in the dumpster.
Woo!
Wait, if you're going to throw in dumpster, give me one, because I still need one to play on my Wii to play my game code.
No. It's a figurative throw it in the dumpster. I'm keeping mine. They're expensive as hell, especially the receivers.
Yeah, I've been trying to look for them. Jesus Christ.
They're like $30 for a receiver. It's stupid. Okay, so hold on. John, you just did your third round pick, which was GameCube. So my third round pick, Nick. And I guess I'll lump these together. They're the exact same. Does anyone have either the DualShock or the DualShock 2 higher?
I have it higher.
All right. We will move on from me then.
So it's back to me?
Back to you, my dear friend.
Matt, you get to talk about it. The 6-button Sega Genesis controller.
Oh, John, you have it on yours or no?
It was number 5.
Number 5. All right, Nick.
One, it's a Sega Genesis, and I mean, the Sega Genesis controllers were huge as is. And then they're like, oh, hey, we'll take this great ergonomic controller and we'll add another row of buttons, which greatly helped when you were playing fighting games on that console.
Yeah,
because the only other way to play is you had to hit your start button, or you had to you didn't have a secondary kick or a secondary high punch or whatever was the case. You had to do it was just so annoying. So when they came out with a 6-button for the fighting games, because for the Sega Genesis, Mortal Kombat, you didn't have you had to put in a blood code for that, I think, or was it vice versa? No.
Yeah.
Sega Genesis, you didn't have need a blood code for the first Mortal Kombat, but for the SNES you did.
No, I think there was no blood whatsoever in the Super, and I think you needed the blood code in Sega. Like you could get to blood in Sega, you had no option for blood in Super. I think is what it was.
Or was it like green blood or something like that?
It might have changed it white or something. Said it was sweat. Or
either way,
stupid.
yeah. I mean, either way, I mean, I just liked it. It was a Sega controller with a nice secondary row of buttons to use, and that's really what I liked. And it also opened up to some great third-party six-button controllers too. So it felt in my hands. It felt good. It's nice and big. You know, I could literally just have your remaining 4 fingers right on the back, holding on and just going at it. So I loved it. It felt good.
So John, you had it on your list?
Yeah, number 5. I think I played a few games with this, mostly Mortal Kombat, at my friend's house. So it was pretty cool to use. And was it Vector Man or I don't know. It was some platformer. So I have limited experience with it, but it was really smooth to use. So I like that.
Nick, I can see you loving this controller because it is big, and big for that era, I guess maybe is the way to phrase it. But I think this was probably one of the first really ergonomic controllers, because it came out after the NES. TurboGrafx isn't super comfy. I can't remember the order of when they came out, but it is such a comfy controller. Just in general, the Sega 3-button it's big. But then they just made it...
I'm a big fan of concave buttons too.
I like concave buttons, but I think I've gotten, as time goes on, I become more and more of a fan of the Sega D-pad. I know there are people that swear by the Japanese Sega Saturn. Fortunately, that's not on my list because I've never held it. But everything that's good about the 3-button Sega controller, I think they made better with the 6. Like more buttons for fighting. The form is, I think, is a little bit smaller, but it's a better form fit. I don't know.
It was easy to like, kind of to like what John had for the GameCube. For fighting games on the Sega, this was really the top notch, because you could really do like the roll, like because for Street Fighter, you had a roll. You didn't have to press down and over. You actually had to do a roll thing. So it's easy to do your swivel because the D-pad made it really nice to do that.
And I think it has the advantage over the Super Nintendo controller. In that you have 6 face buttons, so you're not reaching up to the shoulders on those fighting games where you'll have like high punch, high kick, low punch, or like, strong punch, weak punch, middle punch. It's just for fighting games, Sega Pad, man, it's fantastic.
Loved it.
What about you, Matt?
Well, no, it's up to you, John. It is your second pick.
So my number 2?
Your number 2.
Super Nintendo.
Oh, that is a spicy take. I have that higher.
I figured.
Nick,
I think we're going to flip-flop our 1 and 2, Matt.
Oh, no, that didn't even make my list.
What?
Come on now. I was taking a drink of water. I should have done a spit take.
Oh,
you don't have the Super... Oh, my God.
I don't even have it anywhere on my list.
God, that controller is perfect.
Nick, you hate perfection. You put the 3DO
perfection.
controller on here, but you didn't put the Super Nintendo controller?
I don't... It's small. It's so fucking small. What is it with Nintendo and putting shit so small?
These are giant controllers for giants.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Oh, it's higher, so we can't.
Well, it's higher, so... Well, here's the thing. John and I got a flip-flop. I didn't even think about what we do if we'd flip-flop.
Yeah.
My number 2 is the Xbox S. John.
Huh?
Is that it?
No, that's the higher.
All right, so Xbox S. I'm just jotting this down so we don't lose our place.
The original fatty. Right?
You have the original fatty as your number 1?
No, is that the original fatty? I can't remember the S1. I can't remember which one. Was that the fatty, or that's the one that was a little bit smaller?
It was the Xbox S is smaller, and the Duke is the fatty.
Duke is the fatty, yeah.
So, are we going to do honorable mentions, by the way?
We could.
They do have honorable mentions.
Well, yeah. So, Nick, I think I know what your number 1 is now. It has to be, but... no,
you don't. You don't.
Well, someone has to, because I haven't had a chance to talk about the DualShock.
Oh, yes, you do. Sorry, I totally forgot about that.
So, Nick, is that your number 1?
That's my number 1.
The floor is yours, Nick.
The DualShock number 2. Oh, let me just put it in my hands right now, actually. It's so sexy. PlayStation just knew what they were doing when they made this controller. And so much so that they kept with the design. They haven't changed it much.
Yeah.
I mean, this one is a little more cramped. I mean, I think one thing I like about the newer systems is they kind of made it bigger, but it just fits so well. Like, literally, it just literally cradles the hand. Like, they knew what they were doing when they made this. And it had a built-in, analog on it. The analogs work great. They're nice, and they have a little grip on them. Built-in grip. Which was great for fighting games. It wasn't too far away from the D-pad, so you could switch on and off from the D-pad quickly. The buttons have great... I mean, my only probably thing about the buttons is I wouldn't mind if the buttons were concaved.
Yeah, that's one of my flaws.
That's my only flaw for it. Other than that, it fits so well. Like, it's like you can just put it in your hands and it's meant to stay there. And there's this, and also I think the trigger buttons, the top trigger buttons, were within. They're not distance apart, where it's just quick to go up and down between you had to hit. So it's been really nice. I've been actually putting it through the ringer, playing the Dave Mirra game I just picked up. So
I can't
Built
think
in
of
Rumble
a more.
too. That's also the other thing. The vibration, love it.
It's such an iconic controller. Yeah, I had it as my number 3, and the reason why it was lower down on the list is because, like, the sticks, I'm not a fan, and this is a personal preference. People on the internet fight each other to death on this. I don't like symmetrical stick placement. I like asymmetrical. I think it's just a preference. Everyone's different. I prefer the DualShock 1 to the DualShock 2 just because the DualShock 2 has pressure-sensitive face buttons and the one doesn't. Very minor. You don't really notice it unless you play games like Mega Man, which I love Mega Man X4.
Yeah.
So most of my controllers are all, but again, it keeps that diamond layout of the buttons, which I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
You get the triggers, perfect placement of the triggers. And I guess they're shoulders. They're not really a trigger.
Yeah.
But I mean, getting to that R2, so good. I mean, it's such a fantastic controller. It's no wonder Sony hasn't changed it up a whole lot. It is an evolution of my favorite controller. Hint, hint. Done in all the right ways. So I love the DualShock 2. They mixed it up as they went down, but I had those two. My list had DualShock 1 and 2 on the same because they're functionally basically the same controllers, almost the same form. Just a difference, I think, is the pressure sensitive face buttons. But God, I love that controller. John, any thoughts on that one?
I liked it. It was almost my number 3, but due to my lack of limited playtime with it, or due to my limited playtime, I picked the GameCube one over that.
Bastard.
But it is smooth. I'll give you that. The only drawback was for me the parallel sticks. And their sticks it just didn't feel as snappy.
Oh,
Yes.
come on! They're so
No, I've had this ongoing argument with Corey going back to like high school because I've always preferred an Xbox controller and he's always preferred a PlayStation controller. And I always would bitch at him that the Sony sticks were like flaccid and loose. I used to tell him it was like playing with your dick when it was limp. And he would come back with some other smart ass remark. But yeah, we would argue over the sticks between the Xbox and PlayStation controllers. I get that. I'm on board with that.
Yeah. No, it was close to being number 3 for me, but I didn't play much PlayStation.
Okay, so we have Nick's number 1. John, your number 1 pick.
The Xbox S.
Boom.
Yep.
Ooh.
Got the console in high school and played the heck out of a ton of games. I really like the offset sticks. It made Halo really smooth because I think we played that the most. I used to do the you bring a TV to your friend's house and you hook up and you do that link. So I spent a lot of hours playing Halo. And it just felt right. With the sticks felt good. The triggers were really good. And diamond layout, kind of like what Matt hit on. That seems to be a good flow. The D-pad was okay. Probably the worst feature of it, but it still was all right. It was tolerable. So overall, everything just flowed well with it.
So I had this as my number 2.
Yeah.
And And everything you said and more, right? So I love the fact that your memory sticks. They didn't really use them a whole lot on the Xbox because of the hard drive. But like your memory sticks could plug into the top. They had 2 slots on it.
That's right.
That you hook a memory stick. And they inherited that from the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
The Xbox S is really just an evolution of the Fatty, which is an evolution of the Dreamcast. And what you get with this controller is all the good of the Dreamcast and none of the bad. So the D-pad, yeah, John, not a fan of it. But my God, the sticks on this, super comfy with that concave. Your finger just rests on the top, and they're snappy. You know, diamond layout. Triggers are like a goddamn dream. Like, this is a modern, you know, Sony had the DualShock 2, and that kind of is evolved into what we have now. You know, this is Microsoft's controller, and this is really what has evolved into the Xbox. Xbox. What is the new one? Xbox One X? No.
Xbox X?
Series X.
Series
God,
X,
I hate
yeah.
their naming sucks though. But God, controller is just, other than the D-pad, awesome. Absolutely love it. Fantastic controller, completely underrated. Nick, you got any experience with it?
I just played with a Fatty. I actually never owned. I've owned Xboxes and resold them, but like never really played them. So I actually didn't get the original Xbox and played it. I always had my friends, and I barely even played that one. Like when there, because by time like I got into the Xbox was the Xbox 360. And they redid some of the game. They redid all the games for the Xbox 360, for like the Halo games. So never played actually the original. Never actually played the original Xbox too much. I never have too much experience with it. I remember going over friends and watching play. I did like when I played the Duke, the Fatty.
Yeah.
So obviously it's huge and just like that one had a good grip onto it as well. But other than that, that was my only experience with that Xbox. I had a PS2. That's why PS2 was my number one.
Sony fanboy. So, I think it's down to me, right? I think I'm the last one.
Yeah, that's it.
So, we've alluded to this. My number one pick is the Super Nintendo controller. Nick, I'm offended and slightly hate you for not having this anywhere on your list. It's going to haunt me, and I'm not going to be able to go to bed tonight.
Come on, man.
How can you not love this controller?
I just didn't. I just didn't like it. I mean, liked it. It just wasn't one I like really care for it.
It's like when you go to school and the kids pick on you, and you come home and your mom gives you a hug and tells you it's going to be okay. Like, this controller is the best thing.
I mentioned the best thing. My number one is clearly the best.
Nick. Your number one would be nowhere without this dream. Now, let me walk you through this dream, Nick, okay? I'm going to try to sell you on this. I'm going to move the Super Nintendo. It's got to be in your top 3. The D-pad, right? Inherited the design from the NES, but they rounded it because they want you to have a more comfortable playtime, Nick. Better. Faster, stronger. Nintendo, they brought out the diamond layout. I can't say enough. That is the perfect layout for gaming. They've tried other layouts and they just don't work as well. You know, on the Super Nintendo, you can do like twin stick style things like Robotron or Smash TV. You can do that on a Super Nintendo because those buttons can function as basically another D-pad based on that very good layout. Furthermore, and us Americans are spoiled and the rest of the world got screwed, there is a nice mix of concave and convex buttons on the Super Nintendo. Yeah. So you can put your finger on that Y button like you're running and just mash that B button. It's made to do that. Like, they knew what games they had. They knew how people were going to play them, and they figured it out. Icing on the cake, man, you can't miss those triggers, the shoulder buttons. Like, so easy to get your fingers over to there. Versatile. Yeah, it's not as good as the Sega pad for fighting games, but you still got 6 buttons. Nick, you know, I want to hear what John has to say about it, but I'm more concerned that you don't have it on your list. So I want you to...
Like, how concerned are you?
I'm bothered. I might cancel the podcast.
What?
Is it lack of use, playtime?
No, actually, that was this other system that was in my house. My mom had that one, and I had the Sega.
Oh.
So it got used because I played a good chunk of Links to the Past, and what else did I play? I mean, actually, that's a system I played Mortal Kombat on most for when it came to Mortal Kombat Ultimate, because that's the one we ended up having it on. Matt, if it helps you, I do have a honorable mention with a SNES controller.
You're giving the best controller in the universe a participation trophy?
No, actually, I'm doing the Super Nintendo stick one.
The what?
The one that was actually made for the Super Nintendo, the fighting stick, the arcade controller.
What?
So that doesn't even count.
No, it was not third party though. It was actually meant for the Super Nintendo.
Oh
I
my
thought it was
god!
for the Nintendo.
The Super Nintendo.
No, they had them for both.
Oh, wow. Okay. Damn.
If it makes, I feel like this is a spite move, Nick. I feel like John and I have gone on and on about Super Nintendo so much, and you just walk in like, yeah, fuck those guys. I'm gonna put the 3DO on there.
How do you like it?
Oh man, big dick move. John, what are your thoughts on the Super Nintendo controller?
Mine got so greased with popcorn that everything just flowed. You know,
It's like
I
a
think it's
well-oiled
survived
So you had yours
this
lubed
long.
up.
I would have snacks with it, and I ate a lot of popcorn as a kid, so like my fingers got greasy, and I think I preserved the controller because I still have all my controllers. I have 2 regulars and a turbo one. You know.
Oh, you have was it the ASCII pad or whatever it is? The little
No,
switches?
you could just turbo any button. So like you could switch on a turbo. I'll send a picture to you guys. I don't know. I don't remember when I got it.
That must have been a third party here.
It was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you
I'd
could
like to
cheat
see
at-
your controller with like all the cheese. It must smell like a goddamn landfill. Like it must just awful.
I don't know, man. It's okay, you know. But it was smooth, and probably my D-pads are a little worn, but I love the buttons on that. And Super Mario World and the Mega Man X's, like it was so easy to play those games because you could combo the buttons so smoothly.
I think a lot of people would ask, like they would come, at least they'd attack me and say, why isn't the DualShock higher than the Super? And I think it, for me, comes down to I can't find a flaw with it. I can find flaws with the DualShock, but like the Super Nintendo, like everything that it puts forth for me to use, it does very well. So, yeah, so to refresh and go through our list. Nick, and John, both correct me if I've got these written down wrong. Going in order, Nick, your number 5 pick is the NES controller.
Yep.
Your number 4, the N64 controller. Your number 3, the 3DO controller. Curious enough. Your number 2, the Sega 6-button arcade pad. Your number 1, the Sony DualShock 2.
Yep.
John, 6-button Sega arcade pad is your number 5. Curious, but I'm on board. The Magnavox Odyssey 2 controller is your number 4. Yes, the Abomination. Comfortable Smash controller, known as the GameCube controller, your number 3. The beloved Super Nintendo controller is your number 2. The Xbox S controller is your number 1. Mindless N64, number 5. Sega 6-button, number 4. The DualShock or DualShock 2 for number 3. The Xbox S for number 2. Super Nintendo, number 1, baby.
All right.
So, Nick, you had honorable mentions, which I haven't even thought about, but...
Yeah, so I do actually have a couple honorable mentions. One was actually the Super Nintendo Advantage, the Super Advantage. So pretty much it was an updated of the Nintendo Advantage, the NES Advantage. That's the one actually I used when I was playing fighting games, I actually ended up like borrowing it from my friend when I wanted to play some Mortal Kombat, or I'd use that to play Mortal Kombat.
She's got that arcade feel.
Oh my god, just freaking there, and you could do those. You can easily do a lot of the fighting moves so much easier. So you can pull off combos, you can pull off fatalities so much easier. It made all fight, and because I played a lot of fighting games on the Super Nintendo, like because my friend was a Super Nintendo, I was a Sega, and he had Street Fighter, all the Street Fighter games. We both had Mortal Kombat 2, and I'd even like playing it when we play like Streets of Rage and stuff of that nature.
Nice.
So I loved playing, like when it came to like those like brawling or like other one I liked using it for. I loved using it for Turtles in Time
because you got that arcade feel.
Yeah, I do like that arcade feel. It was great. That was an honorable mention, and just because I was trying to piss you off, Matt, I do actually have the Super NES controller.
You spiteful bastard!
Yeah, it's on there. It's there. It almost made the list, but I just have more memories with the other ones. Like I said, it wasn't my main console to play. It was more a secondary console, so it didn't hold a special place in my heart. Another one that you might find weird is Atari 2600.
No, I don't find that weird at all. Go for it.
Reason for, and this is mostly the college years, is I really liked using it while playing like Joust and being completely drunk and stoned off my ass. Because we just played for hours on end. My friend had it like it was his dad's, and we got completely drunk and we'd pull it out and hitch it up and we'd play until like 7, 8 in the morning of just playing Joust or whatever other game he had on for that. And it worked well. I actually liked it. I mean, it moved well, and for the times that it came out, it was simplistic, and yeah, it worked.
Iconic. I mean, if you think of retro gaming, I think the Atari 2600 controller is like that's such an iconic controller.
Yeah, those are there. Those are only 3. Yeah, those are like 3 ones I had. I mean, I could obviously say like the PlayStation stuff like that, but that kind of sums up into my top controller as well, I think.
So John, do you have any honorable? Knowing that Nick has gone above and beyond, I think you and I. Do you have any honorable mentions that you would dole out?
I honestly hated the Dreamcast controller.
Oh, okay. So that's on my honorable mention list.
No. It was too much vertical space on that thing for me.
I will agree with that.
Yeah. It was cool with the virtual memory pack with the screen, and Skies of Arcadia had a mini game that you could play on it. But like it was a weird layout.
I hate this. I've got one in my hand right now, and one of the things that I noticed, and I feel like Microsoft got right, is like the stick placement.
Yeah.
When you hold that controller, your left hand is like completely vertical on that stick versus kind of angled like you have without all the other ones.
It's too close to the edge.
They should have swapped it out. They should have reversed the D-pad with the stick.
I think you'd have a harder time hitting the other thing. The stick would get in the way. But yeah, I mean, where that D-pad is, yeah, that would feel good where the stick is. Have the stick there.
Or move it more, just a little bit more off to the right.
Yeah.
It's like they almost got it, right? On the Dreamcast.
Yeah, it was
like
close.
They're close. Like the 80%. Like the triggers
feel great. It was ergonomic as hell.
Yeah, I don't mind the grip. The friggin' I have it as an honorable mention just because the screen that you can plug in the VMU packs, that's so cool.
Yeah, very ahead of its time.
I wish they'd bring it back.
That's the only reason I wanted a Dreamcast is because the VMU. Because it's like its own mini, like, it was like a mini little game.
Yeah, you had a Kokomo game on Skies of Arcadia, I think. If I remember. It's been a while. It's been 20 years.
Sorry, I'm looking at the Sega, one of the Sega Saturn's controllers. This flying saucer.
What's a good honorable mention?
Oh, the
I
Duke.
guess-
Come on. You know you can just say the Duke.
No, that thing sucked. The 64, just frequency of use.
I'll give you that.
If they moved that D-pad or eliminated the D-pad.
Holy
You
shit.
know?
Sorry. I just Matt, I'm going to send you a picture later. Someone put a built-in screen on a Dreamcast controller.
Oh, that's sweet.
Like an actual full-on, like... Let's see if I can send this here.
Game on that screen, like
Yeah,
load ROMs on
they
it.
did what they did it what the pretty much Wii U.
Wow.
I gotta
Honorable
see.
mention is the pregnancy test that they played Doom on.
That's so funny.
Oh, good one.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
No, man, I think the 64 and I know I kind of had like I said before, there were some close ones for me. So I guess the DualShock 2 would have been an honorable mention since it almost came in number 3.
So I have some weirdos as my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I figured.
You would.
My most hated controller is, of course, the Atari 5200 controller. I will bitch
Yeah.
endlessly about that thing. However, and I'm hunting for one, but they're expensive. I want to get my hands on one. The trackball for it, phenomenal. Like,
Really?
it's great. Yeah, like they've got homebrew versions of like Tempest you can play on 5200 now. There's Missile Command.
Yeah.
Centipede, like that trackball feels like an arcade trackball. Like you got to look at it. I mean, it's almost as big as like a console that you would buy nowadays. Like it's stupid
Okay.
huge, but like what
Oh,
an
good
awesome
lord,
feature!
dude, that thing is giant.
My God, feels like a dream though. I want one. I need one.
Sweet.
or
You guys,
Yeah.
are you guys ready for my final?
ooh, what is it? What is it?
Honorable mention, and then Nick, you can run with what you want to go on next.
Ooh.
Get ready to scratch your heads and bring back the nostalgia. My third honorable mention, because Nick, I'm following your lead and having 3. The NES Zapper.
You know, that's a solid pick. I mean, that's actually really good. They haven't done a gun, I think, well for any consoles since then.
Not one that's... I know people like the light guns and like the Saturn PS2 era, you know? The Dreamcast one has a whole story behind it. But yeah, I can't think of a light gun that is just as well known and widespread just because it was a pack-in and
Someone's done a
Duck Hunt is
paint
just-
job on a Desert Eagle of that.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Have you seen the video of the guy dressed up like Mario going around shooting things with that?
No, I saw one where someone dressed up as Captain Nintendo.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
So yeah, there we go.
I like it.
I like it.
What did that? It was Duck Hunt and what else that you could do?
I think there was a game called Gumshoe that used it.
Yeah.
What else was it? There was it wasn't Konami. It was like Ultra Games, like Billy Bayou or something was another game that used it. And then there was an unlicensed game called Chiller, which was unlicensed because it was extremely violent. You were like shooting body parts off like things on the wall. Like Google Chiller. It's real fucked up looking, but it did use the NES Zapper.
Right on.
Let's see. I want to see what games got. It was pretty much still just Duck Hunt. Oh wait, here licensed games. The Adventures of Bayou Billy, Barker Bill's Trick Shooting, Daydreaming Davy, Duck Hunt, obviously, Freedom Force, Gotcha, the Sport, Gumshoe, Hogan's Alley, Laser Evasion,
the Lone Ranger, Mechanized Attack, Operation Wolf, Shooting Range, Space Shadow, To the Earth, Track Field 2, and Wild Gunman. Then, unlicensed, 3-in-1 Supergun, Baby Boomer, Blood of Jurassic, Chiller, Strike Wolf, Super Russian Roulette. Oh my god.
What? That's funny.
Requires gun and controller. Zapper does not interact with display, so is compatible regardless of the screen. So it must be like I gotta see. I'm on wiki of this.
Oh man, you know what's another honorable mention that I didn't throw out there? Have you guys seen the Steel Battalion controller for the original Xbox?
The Steel Battalion controller?
Google Steel Battalion controller Xbox. It's basically like the joke is like hand job, blow job, a Z job, and it's like, what's a Z job? If you don't know, you can't afford it. That's kind of what the Steel Battalion controller is nowadays. Like, look what you have to have for space in order to run that thing.
So this is like if you only played Mech Warrior.
Oh, just look at that. That's obscene. And they're not cheap. They're hard to find.
100, yeah, wow.
It looks like a. Well, it's not a controller. It's a whole system.
It's a command station.
Yeah.
You're gonna launch nukes.
Is this what they trained helicopter pilots with in Russia?
Well, I was just funny because this looks a lot similar to my friend because he does airplane simulation, and it looks like a good chunk of it, like his airplane setup. Man,
that's elaborate. I had the racing steering wheel for the N64.
Had one for the PlayStation.
Yeah, that was probably my most elaborate setup because it had the pedals, but it was weird to play with. You had to sit in a chair if you wanted to use it right with the pedals. Otherwise, it just felt awkward.
Yeah, I never had a.
Never had a wheel?
I never had a wheel of any sort. I mean, I had the Wii wheel, but that's about it.
Yeah,
no, we had one for both a PlayStation and PlayStation 2 because my stepdad was really into the Gran Turismo games.
Those were tough.
Like, he would stay up all night with those games.
Yeah. I remember playing GoldenEye with the wheel.
Ooh.
Yeah, it didn't work so well.
My friend Nick played a game with the Garage Band drums.
Nice.
I can't remember. I think it was a shooter he played.
So, Nick, what else? Any other categories, or are you all set with our first debug episode?
I'm pretty good on this one. I do have a other debug episode idea, I think, as well. Another one would be video game movies.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like these kind of off the beaten path episodes because it gives us some time too. Like maybe we've got a game that we've got to finish that's long and we got a lot going on. We have an extra episode buffer. One of the ones I thought about talking about was like going over the ESRB. We kind of hinted at that early on, like 2018 when we started recording some of these, like that.
Right.
There's so many options that we have. I'm sure John, you've got some ideas too.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of Nick's and say movies that have been made into video games.
Oh, reversing it.
Yep.
True Lies.
John owns that.
Funny enough, I own that now. Yep.
Well, this has been fun. We'll have to do more of this. Folks listening, if you like this, please leave us a kind review. Problems with this episode, send it John's way. He is, in fact, our complaint department, and he spends hours and hours poring over complaints. Really keeps him up at night.
Give him
Bring
a
it
reason
on,
to
folks.
drink. Also, don't forget to follow us on our socials. Matt, lay down our socials.
Spindash Retro. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram.
I still need to start contributing to that. God, I suck.
I've done nothing. But yeah, subscribe. You can see us, spitting out something once every 5 days.
Yeah. And maybe possible streaming in the future.
Yeah,
who knows?
Big stuff.
Looking
Big
at-
stuff in 2021.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you. Signing out.
Thanks, everybody.
Sign it.